Hello, this is Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and I'm bringing you today a reading of the Hebrunes that is based upon the idea of what is showering us with blessings right now. This is a timeless reading, so whenever you find it, it is appropriate for you. But we're in the time of year when I'm doing the reading, which is the time of the meteor showers of Pleiades. So I thought it would be good to do a reading about the blessings that are coming to us, that are showering down on us from the heavens. And we're going to be doing 3 separate readings. We're going to do 3 different decks, one for each reading, and then we'll do some Hebrunes within those readings. So I'll put your timestamps down below, and you'll get to choose from which deck you like. We have first the Golden Botticelli deck, which is based on the paintings of the artist Botticelli. We have I Tarocchi del Palio di Siena, which is based on the contrade of the Palio of the city of Siena in Italy. And we have the Rider-Waite Smith. So you get to choose which of these 3 decks you would like, and I'll put the timestamps down below. And then I will see you in your reading. Hello, deck number 1. Welcome to your reading. We're using the Golden Botticelli deck, and we're going to take a moment to shuffle to get a card that will speak to the general energy around what is it that's showering you with blessings right now, what's coming down from above to give you a message of blessing. Let's give it a good shuffle, see if anything comes out. There she is, beautiful. Okay, the general energy of your reading is the card Temperance. Now, Temperance, let's take a look at her. You can see she's got a vessel of water and she's pouring it. And she is generally somebody who's all about balance, finding the balance in our situation. I love this card. Very beautiful. So that's our general energy, Temperance, today. Let me see if I can find something to prop it up. There we go. So Temperance, like I said, is about moderation, the ability to adapt, finding peace and serenity and rest and healing. And so that's our general energy, and that sounds like a beautiful blessing to come down from the stars here. Have the ability to rest, find balance. So let's pull out 3 Hebrunes today that will further clarify what the blessing is coming for you here. And we have the top letter is going to be that which is our current situation. And we have the letter Dalet. The center letter is that which is our challenge or fear in the situation. And we have the letter Beit. And the bottom letter represents that which is the outcome or possibly the advice in our situation given the current circumstances. And we have the letter Tav. Beautiful. Okay, we'll start at the top with the letter Dalet. The letter Dalet is it's a door in Hebrew. It's traditionally a door. And so it's about transitions in liminal spaces. And for whoever is reading this or receiving this right now, the idea of temperance, the idea of finding a place of balance may require going through a liminal space. But right now we're in this place of finding balance. And Dalet is the binary transformation of wisdom and foolishness. So finding the balance between being wise and being foolish. Wisdom is a wonderful goal to achieve. And foolishness may seem silly, but it's also an important part of it. I think, again, finding that balance between having wisdom, but not being too serious about it. Foolishness can be often derided as something that is not desired. Now, there is a type of foolishness, which is, making decisions that are dangerous or unwise, but there's also the fool who is making fun, having a good time. So finding the balance between wisdom and foolishness, not getting too full of oneself with seriousness, but again, not going overboard into a foolish place where you're unable to see what's wise in the big picture. A lot of times foolishness hides wisdom. And again, finding that balance. Dalit is also, it's got a connotation of humility here. The word dal in Hebrew means poor. So there's something about humbleness. And I think about it a lot of times as, in order to get through the doorway, in order to get through the threshold, one needs to bow their head, to duck a little bit in order to get through. So you have to have a little bit of humility to walk through a door. It's the number 4 in Gematria. So to that end, it speaks to the 4 seasons and the 4 directions and the 4 letters of the name of the divine. So there's this idea of balance, of stability. So I love that right now for you, that we have this idea of temperance, this idea of stability, the little bit of humility, and that balance between wisdom and foolishness. So that's where we are right now, walking through a doorway, it sounds like, some kind of liminal space, that we're trying to find our balance here. The central letter, which is our challenge or fear in the situation, is the letter Beit. The letter Beit is a house. It's said to be a house. And so it's about home and finding our place where we live. And it's frequently said to be the house, the bayit, which is the Hebrew name for home. But I think of it a lot of times in terms of where do we feel at home? Where do we live? And that can be as large as we live in this universe. We live on this planet. We live, or more specifically, we live in a house, or we live in our bodies. And Beit also is said to be the letter that corresponds to the day of Shabbat in the week. So Shabbat is all about rest, and temperance is also about rest and finding balance. So our challenge here may be finding our way, finding comfort in our bodies, finding a way to rest. After we've gone through this liminal space of the Dalit, how do we find our place to rest? How do we find a place to be comfortable? How do we find our home? Where do we find ourselves at home in our body? How do we find ourselves at home in the world? Where do we find the balance of being active in the world, doing what we need to get done, but also finding a place to rest? So that seems to be the challenge right now. Finding home and finding rest. And our final letter in the reading today is the letter Tav, and the Tav is the last letter of the alphabet. So it's about endings. It's about completion. It's about coming to completion and finding our way into a happy and satisfying and restful ending. Tav is also about judgment. Some say that it looks a little bit like a nun and a dalit that's at the top there. So that together would spell the word din meaning judgment. So something needs to be discerned here at the end, that we have this idea of the final judgment, something that will bring us to possibly justice. It is the day Friday in the week, which is the day that I'm doing this reading right now. So it's the preparation for Shabbat. It's a preparation for rest. So we have this idea of completion. It is the binary transformation of sovereignty and slavery. Where do we lie on that continuum between that which is enslaving us and that which we have sovereignty over in our own lives and our own bodies? How do we find our own personal sovereignty here? How do we find the balance between service and also personal sovereignty? And again, as it is the last letter of the alphabet, it's also the last letter of the word emet. Emet, which is the first letter, middle letter, and last letter of the alphabet, and it means truth. So how do we find that completion, which brings us to truth? And the idea here is, in order to get to truth, we have to find balance. We have to find rest. We have to find humility. So as we're coming through this with our idea of temperance, balance, rest, finding peace in our situation, we need to bow our heads, get through that doorway, get through that liminal space right now. Find a way to rest. Don't be afraid of resting right now. And don't be afraid of staying in your body. Don't be afraid of sitting with yourself in the situation. And when we do that, it'll bring us through to Tav, which is that final, that completion, that ability to discern appropriately the way to find a balance between sovereignty and slavery and bringing ourselves into a space of completion, a place of peace, and a place of the ability to start again. So for those of you who chose the Golden Botticelli deck today, this has been your reading. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Shabbat Shalom. Hello, deck number 2. This is your reading. This is going to be using the Tarocchi del Palio di Siena. We're going to start out by shuffling your cards. And we're going to start by picking one card that's going to give us the general energy of our situation about what is it that is blessing you right now in your life. What is showering down on you from the stars above? Let's see if we can get one card that is clear. There it is. And our card is the Ace of Cups. Beautiful card. So the Cups is all about emotions. And the Aces are all about new beginnings. So in this situation, when we're looking at the Ace of Cups, what's showering down on you is the beginning of something new that's feeling really good and really abundant. Frequently, the Ace of Cups is depicted with water overflowing and just pouring down blessings, very much like those meteor showers, only with water. And so what we have for blessings here for you today is a cup that is overflowing with good feelings, with emotions, with love. And that is pouring down on you from above like a meteor shower. It's just lovely. And so we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes as well to further illustrate this. We're going to start with the one on the top is that which represents our current situation. And that one just jumped right out. We have the Lamed, beautiful. In the center of our reading is the letter that represents our fears or concerns in the situation. And I have the letter He. And for the bottom letter in our reading, the outcome, it just leaped right out here. We have the letter Het. Nice. Okay, Lamed He Het. All right, starting at the top, we have the letter that represents what our current situation is. And the letter Lamed is beautiful for this because it is all about heart. And not just heart in terms of like love, although since we have the Ace of Cups here, it certainly can represent heart in terms of love. But the Lamed is the letter that represents the heart-mind in Hebrew. It used to be understood that the heart was a part of our thinking and the mind was informed by and also really dependent upon heart, because the heart and the mind are intertwined. The Lamed is the first letter of the word Lev, which means heart in Hebrew. So it has that sense of heart and mind coming together. Lamed is the one letter that reaches above the line in Hebrew. To that, it seems as if it's reaching up toward divinity for aspiration. And I love this because in my reading of the Hebrunes, the Lamed corresponds to the tarot card, the star. the star, because we're talking about the Pleiades, we're talking about the stars and the shooting stars that are raining down on us. It goes so beautifully together with the Ace of Cups here, because that cup is overflowing like the stars falling from the sky, and the Lamed is the card that represents the star, which is about hope and aspiration, reaching up, optimism. So beautiful current situation where we have our heart, mind reaching up for aspiration to connect with divinity, as well as grounding itself, rooting down with this tail down here into the ground. So there's this foundation, this foundational aspect as well with the Lamed. And it has to do with learning and teaching. And I love this about the Lamed is that it also corresponds to the intestines in the body. It looks a little bit like an intestinal tract where you would take something in here and then it would go across and down and come out here. So it's about discernment as well. So it's about taking in something, food or information or emotion even, and being able to discern what is useful, what is serving you, what is going to help nourish you, either physically or emotionally or intellectually or spiritually, and then releasing that which is not helping. So our current situation is about heart and love and reaching up, and also about discernment, learning and teaching, and knowing what is right to let go in our situation. I love that for you. So Lamed at the top here. The letter in the center of the reading represents our fears or concerns in the situation. And we have the letter He. The letter He is the letter that begins the word Hineni, which means here I am, ready and available for service. It is also speaking to presence, being present and ready. So when we hear the call of the divine, the appropriate answer is Hineni, here I am. And what may be challenging in this situation with the heart, mind, and reaching up for divinity is remaining present, being able to remain available and being able to remember that one is called upon to answer to divine service. He is two of the four letters of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He. So it's like half of the name of the divine is about showing up and remaining present, both on our part to show up when the divine calls to us to say, here I am, but also for the divinity to show up for us. And so those two coming together is really essential for presence. He is the number 5 in Gematria, and to that end it speaks to the 5 fingers on the hand, and so the idea of artistry and action in the world. So our situation here may be challenging us with being able to remain present in our situation, being able to show up, remain active, remain present and available in whatever situation we've got here. We've got this new beginning that's coming in. It's all about heart. It's all about availability for service, and it may be challenging just to remain present and remember that what we're doing here is serving the divine in the big picture. Yes, of course, we serve ourselves, and yes, of course, we serve our loved ones in our way, but it's really important that the big picture answer is we're here for service to the divinity, and we need to remember that, to stay available, to stay present, and that's a challenge right now. Maybe we're afraid of presence, maybe we're afraid of divine not showing up for us, but it's a two-way street. We need to meet halfway. That if we are present for a divinity, divinity will be present for us. And if we're not present for divinity, divinity has a harder time remaining present for us as well. And also to remain active, to not just sit around waiting for things to happen, but to do what we need to do to fulfill this new beginning. That the new beginnings are given to us as a gift, but we also have the necessity to step forward and grab hold of that cup, to grab hold of that chalice, to drink from the blessings that are pouring down. We can't just sit around waiting for good things to happen. We need to take some active participation in that. And our final letter in the reading we have today is the letter Het. Now, the letter Het is the number 8 in Gematria. And the number 8 on its side looks like an infinity symbol. So I think of Het as having to do with the infinite. The number 8 is also one more than the number of days of creation in our Torah story. We have 7 days of creation, and then the 8th day is the infinite. It's everything that comes after that. Het is the first letter of the word Chai, which means life. And it's also the first letter of the word Choshek, which means darkness. So we have that balance between that infinity loop of life and darkness, and they're both necessary and important for balance in our lives. Chai is also the admonition to choose life. And I believe that's in our Torah portion actually this week, is that admonition to, I set before you a choice between life and death. Choose life. So this is the outcome of our situation here, is if we can grasp that cup, if we can reach out and take hold of the gift that is being given to us in the form of this outpouring of love, this outpouring of blessing, this learning situation, our hearts, and staying present with the divine will come through to a place of the infinite. There's that chime that I have, my random chime, that tells us yes. Whenever that bell goes off, it sounds like an exclamation point on the thing that's being said. So we have the ability to rest in the infinite, to grasp what is being offered to us, to remain present with us, to reach up with heart for connection with divinity. And when we do that, we'll come in through with the infinite and have the ability to choose life. So for those of you who chose the Tarocchi del Palio di Siena, this has been your reading today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will look forward to seeing you here again next time. Shabbat Shalom. Hello, pile number 3. Those of you who chose this deck, we're going to do a reading today. We're going to choose one tarot card from this deck, and then we're going to pull out some Hebrunes as well. And our question today is, what is the universe showering us with blessings right now? Those Pleiades, those showers, the meteorites that are falling from the sky, what are those representing in the form of blessings in your life right now? And we're going to take out one card from this deck once it's shuffled to determine what is it exactly that is the general energy of your reading today. It's a brand new deck, so it's a little stiff. Let's give it one more shuffle. See if anybody jumps out. There she is. And then we'll get into the Hebrunes as well. Okay, so we have, wow, the 10 of Wands. And this, although it's a difficult card because it's a burden, this person is carrying a huge burden, what it's saying is that this is almost over. So 10s are about the ending of a thing. So this burden that you've been carrying, whatever it might be, is coming to an end. And that's the blessing here. Despite the fact that this has been a really hard push for you, that you have been carrying way too much, it looks like, this is coming to an end. This burden, whatever it is coming to an end for you. So let's pull out some Hebrunes as well to see further clarity about this. So at the top, we're going to pull out a letter which will illuminate what our current situation is for you right here. And we have the letter Tav. Perfect. Okay. Our second letter is the challenge or the fear in our situation. What's the challenge or fear in the situation? For deck number 3, we have the Samech. And at the bottom, what is the outcome of our situation given the current circumstances? And we have the Kuf, jumping out of the bowl. Okay. At the very top of our reading, perfect for this 10 of Wands, we have the letter Tav. And the letter Tav, as you may know, is the final letter of the alphabet. And just like the 10, saying this is coming to an end, Tav is about endings. It is the thing that speaks to completion. It's the stamp or the seal or the signature on the thing that has come before. So the entire alphabet has been written, and at the end we have the tav, this signature. And it's about endings, but it's also about regeneration. Something new is coming in. When something ends, something new has space to come in. And so to that end, it's about reincarnation on some level. It's the final letter of the word emet, which means truth. Emet, which is spelled with an aleph, the first letter, a mem, which is the middle letter of the alphabet, and the tav, the final letter. So it's the final letter on the word truth. So it's about the finality of truth. Something is coming to an end. Something is completely finished here. To that end, it's also about judgment and death, but like death in the form of a transformation. Again, like an ending. Something that's been very challenging is coming to an end, and we have the ability to look back and see how things have been and make better decisions, different decisions next time. It's a moon in the sky, and we're coming into the new moon next week at the time that I'm doing the reading. Of course, this is a timeless reading, so this may be understood to be whenever it is you're watching this. But there's something about cycles. So the cycles, it's as if the moon disappears at the new moon, and then it comes into fullness, and then it transforms again. So it's about this idea of transformation and rebirth. So as cycles and seasons tend to go, we've got something that's coming to an end. This is the finality of the thing. And that gives us space for something new to come in, something fresh, some kind of regeneration that's coming in here. So I love that for you, especially since the thing that's coming to an end has been so challenging. And in the center of our reading, the challenge in our situation is the samech. The samech, which is about cycles and seasons. Something has come around. Something has been coming around, and there maybe is a fear that it will come back. But rest assured, this is coming to an end. And even though we've got cycles and seasons that come through over and over again, they transform. They're spirals. They're not circles. They're not like you're just running on a track that you're back in the same exact place again. But ideally, things have transformed by the time, if we come back to something similar, there's transformation that's taken place. Samech is the letter that represents a thorn, or the foundation of agitation in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation. Each of the letters has a foundation, and Samech speaks to thorns and agitation. You can see it's got a little thorn up in the upper left corner. In Paleo Hebrew, it looked very much like a thorn. But on the other hand, it's the first letter of the word sovev, which means being surrounded. And so I think of it in terms of surrounding oneself with protection, with protective boundaries. And so that may be the challenge right now. How do we come through this difficult situation and set ourselves up for success so that next time we have better boundaries? Maybe we're afraid that we don't have good boundaries, or that we're just agitated right now. But this is about cycles and seasons. We have the ability to find comfort, to find protection, and to be surrounded with family and friends, chosen family who are comforting, and we'll come back to a place of support. So for the challenge here, we've got this thorn, this agitation, and maybe a fear that we don't have good boundaries, but we have the ability to make choices and decisions here. So don't be afraid. We've got this outcome here, which is the letter Kuf. And the letter Kuf is the first letter of the word kadosh, which means sacredness, that which is holy. And to that end, we have the knowledge that the thing we're doing, the thing that we've come through, all our trials are founded in a place of holiness, even though things are hard. Kuf is also the first letter of the word klipa, which means shells or shards. So there's this ancient story in Hebrew about the divine creating the universe. And in order to do that, they had to contract themselves down into one point, and that light of the divine was held into vessels. The vessels shattered because the light was too strong, and that light was scattered all through the universe, which is why the divinity exists in all things. However, those shards of the vessels also shattered, and they're all over the universe, causing some agitation. So there's this idea that there's agitation in the universe, but in the big picture, it's all divinity. Everything is sacred. So when we come through to the ending of a thing, which is challenging and has been challenging, this burden that we've been carrying has been very heavy. It's coming to an end, which is the great news. The challenge here may be to set up good boundaries. And even though we may feel some agitation and have some fear around that, know that in the final picture, it all comes back to sacredness. It all comes back to a place of holiness and the ability to collect those pieces of light that have been shattered into the world to create a wholeness. And that even if there are shards of those vessels that are irritating and agitating, know that there's holiness in the completion of bringing things back together to divinity. The other thing that brings up is the foundation of sleep. So there's rest coming for you. After having this huge burden here, you get to have the ability to rest now. We can let go. We can let go because things have come to an end. We can surround ourselves with good boundaries. Trust in the divine and the sacredness there, and come to a place of rest. So for those of you who chose the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, this has been your reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it's been useful for you. I hope that you find a way to lay down your burden. And I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Shabbat Shalom.